Alpha and the Grok ban coming out from the side of Bleed.
Yep. Grok, not a respect over the side of Dairy. Alpha, because don't forget, Xbox can be flexed over to closer, right? So, just cutting off everything. Don't forget, Bray, right here, well, I think he's definitely going to go into the Xbox because they're already taking away the Fragile, which is something that Bray likes to play, and also Martis also a nod over to Yon. But right now, it's just RSG. They're looking to secure maybe their Roma right here. Don't forget, Dairy closer towards the playoffs. He's been playing a lot of soft supports like, you know, the Florence, the Angela, but now this time around we get to see his Minotaur coming back into the playoffs.
Minotaur rounds things up really nicely, right? Because, I mean, so far, on the side of Bleed, they need to get a little bit close. At least the Arlet needs to get a little bit close to do anything. Moscow's pretty short range as well. Minotaur is going to be that wall, is going to be that sentinel to stop people in their paths from approaching. So this also actually narrows down a lot of the options that Bleed actually had, such as potentially picking the Paquito that Sagitnu likes.
Oh, you mentioned Paquito. That's really kind of interesting, but Yon goes for the Fanny instead.
Yep.
There you go. That's a statement. Yon wants to start day number 1 strong, just going for the Fanny instead. This is the second time the Fanny has been picked in MPL Singapore.
Fanny is going to be pretty decent, I think, into SG's lineup. Minotaur is going to be there to try to stop her in her pass a little bit. But the question is, how does RSG round up their lineups? They've still got, I believe, the EXP or the jungle flex option right now. And to the Terizla, what can we expect, Jace?
Looking at maybe a Yu Zhong, that would be great, because Yu Zhong known to counter the Vixanas as well. Does decently against Terizla, at least equalize that lane just a little bit. You also get to jump onto the Moscow instead, but no, RSG goes for the Paquito instead, lending more flexibility around the lanes. And yeah, Closer wants to get closer towards either Moscow or the Vixana.
They do want to have a little bit of that burst potential onto the Fanny, right? Understandably, they don't really quite have that in their current lineup. They will want to play for time and they want to drag on the fights as long as possible in order to really build up the heat stacks coming from Xbox. With Valentina's help when it comes down to picking up a little bit of that final slash or perhaps the Eternal Guard, perhaps even when it comes down to the penalty zone. They RSG have quite a lot of skills in their disposal to drag on team fights and really just disable the enemies. But what is lacking is pure damage that can really deal with Fanny. And I think that is exactly what RSG is looking out for. With the pick on the Xbox, it soft bans a lot of these hard tanks over the side of Bleed. So they definitely saw this coming. The only thing is, how do they answer to the Roger into the Moscow lineup here in the gold lane between Bleed versus RSG? Let's keep our eyes peeled.
Yep, ladies and gents, welcome back to the Land of Dawn. Here we go. Bleed spawning in the blue. It's going to be RSG in the red this time around. Turtle will be spawning around top side. So it's going to be hot potatoes for Sagitnu and also closer to get to level 4 as quickly as possible. But it's also going to be the same all the way to the bottom lane. We need to see Yon hopping off in the early game because he's on this Lethal Ignition.
Lethal Ignition is going to be incredibly key, I think, in the early games. But the question is Yon going to be able to find an opportunity to go in? Right? We see, of course, I think pretty standard things happening on the map. With just a lot of trades happening in the mid right now.
Looking to get Yon to snowball. I think that's the main goal right here. CS still level 1, CG also still level 1. Still quite early as of now, still not too bad. But
early invade.
As a Moskov, you can't peel against the Roger. It's actually quite hard for the Roger to basically pounce onto you. And now with Yon just hanging around in the bottom lane, just adding a lot of pressure against CS.
Yeah, and you know, I think that was a really good invade for the side of Yon, right? Because that means that Bray actually has I mean, he loses resources, right? And he is kind of forced into trying to do an early invade as well to counteract some of the gold that's going on the side of Yon. But we see a little bit of the early game.
You have a new half HP, but the closer is just going to be landing a single punch. But after that, not much will happen.
Yeah, you don't really have a lot of kill pressure for the side of closer, right? Level 4 is not here yet. Yes, Bray does have the last insanity, but Yon is already here and just abusing the fact that he could just spin around. That's a Firaga armor already taken away.
Yep. Positioning is definitely key for the side of RSG, but luckily we're talking about an Xbox with the Firaga armor. You should be able to get yourself away from that with not much issues.
Yeah, it looks like not much is happening. A lot of trades, a lot of invades, a lot of sneaky plays trying to happen, trying to make things work, but actually I want to focus a little bit on the bot lane, right? We talked about if CS is going to survive some of the early pressure. They're both at level 4 right now, and he is a little bit down in terms of HP as a resource, but no deaths.
Not only just that, Gear is forced to refresh, right? That means that Derry, okay, takes over to level 4. Gear slowly lagging just a little bit behind. At the very least, both these two roamers are ready to fight. Bray, on the other hand, level 5. Yonkin is also level 5 as well. So both are kind of equal in terms of the red tree fighter.
Look at the bot lane. Got pushed out of his lane because Yon was there, but the turtle's free for the side of RSG.
Does seem like you're just gonna zigzag zooming all around, dealing sufficient damage, but not quite enough to really bring anyone down. Bleed and RSG understand that they are in a stalemate and they can't overextend themselves, and the only fight that they would want to go for is solely for the turtle.
Yeah, and not only just that, right? You can see how Bleed wants to trade the turtle for Seiji, for CS, because they really want to get Seiji up and running as quickly as possible. So yeah, I can see why Bleed would make that decision, but looking at the emblems right here, both these two gold laners going for Master Assassin.
Mastery Assassin, indeed. It seems I want to like right. So the emblem choices for Roger this time around is slightly different, right? We saw a lot less emphasis on the common emblems. We saw a bit more heavily spec'd into the
Should be assassin emblems. That's right.
Right, and this is I think a bit more traditional, but we see Godzilla survive with a pixel of HP.
The Lithuanian nation didn't really quite pop, but the first blood did pop indeed. In the middle lane, Jay falls prey to the hands of RSG, giving Bray his very first kill.
Yeah, but Closer had to burn the flicker for what? Because you can see that Jay just decides to give up. He knows he's dead, so that's why he stood still. But Closer burning that flicker may have a lot of implications going into the next turtle fight.
I think it's fine though. I mean, Paquito has heaps of mobility, right? Mobility is kind of the least of his concerns at this point. Yon is doing something. Going into the burst.
Gear was just preparing himself to make sure that once the last Ascendity has been off, he can just go straight in. In the meantime, Sagitnu even used his flicker just so that they can focus and bring Closer and Bray down. So both of which are down, and that is definitely fine and dandy. RSG took that opportunity to focus a bit more down to the bottom lane instead.
Okay, maybe not the turtle, but that one. If he had the flicker right there, he could have gotten away. But Seiji is actually holding up himself really darn well down bottom lane. 1v3, no problem, and absorbs so much pressure, allowing Bleed to make plays on the other side of the map, cracking top side, that's open top, and not only just that, the turtle is also spawning up top as well.
Seiji showing why he is one of the premier gold laners in MPLSG right now. Turtle is open, but focused eyes on mid.
Oof, you can even hear Yon all the way there. That's a nice assassination. 3 kills going to his pocket. He's already snowballing.
Yeah, you can see, look, Bleed is riding on the momentum. It's 3-1 with 2.2k gold, 2k gold lead currently in Bleed's pocket. That's almost a full item at this point of gold lead. And if it's going on the Fanny is just going to be more and more deadly.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden Closer has to be careful. CS has to be careful. Don't forget RSG is a mid-game power spike team. Bleed, on the other hand, it's already started to snowball just a little bit. They're just toying with the turtle right now. They're really looking for engage. Sagitnu as well. Gear already burned the final slash. Should be coming up anytime soon because of low CD. But unfortunately, turtle given over the side RSG.
Turtle has gone to the side of RSG, which would balance the gold a little bit. This was dropped down to 1.5k gold lead, but Seiji strikes back by taking a turret. So honestly, Bleed is having complete map control at this point. They are giving up the turtles, but they do not care. They have traded the towers instead. This game is
yeah. Yon is just assassinating everybody left, right, center, Abstract.
Yeah, I mean, he's just really just showing his presence around the map. That is the main idea that he's gonna have to do. Especially since RSG's only answer to the Fanny is a Paquito. The Paquito gotta have to get the farm up. But as you can see, with a 0-2 Closer, it's gonna be tough. But in the meantime, Flick is just gonna be used from the side of RSG, hoping that they will be able to land a good amount of control down onto Bleed. But it doesn't seem like it will be able to do too much, to be honest. But getting Jay and Sagitnu down at the cost of CS and Dairy is definitely gonna cost. But Yon now joins into the fray. He did manage to assassinate onto Bray and perhaps even ended onto Godzilla, granting him a triple kill to his name, while Closer wasn't able to do much but to take 1 kill for his own.
Man, this reminds me all the way back then where we thought, you know, Yon can play only assassins, and all of a sudden during the playoffs he pulled the Martyrs, he pulled the Fredrin, and now he's like, yeah, I'm very good. I'm a very good assassin player. I'm cosplaying Kyrie.
Yeah, and look, right now, I mean, with this patch, I believe assassins just got buffed, right? So This was a really good idea from the side of Bleak to pick, to allow Yon to play his Fanny, right? And his Fanny has been talked about. You guys have been hyping it up, I think, during the regular season. Seeing it now on the playoffs, 7-0-0, I understand why, finally, you guys have been hyping him up so much.
Yep. RSG, on the other hand, right, if you look at the composition that they have built, it's kind of meant to kind of disrupt the Fanny, right? But Fanny right here is already 7 kills, and now Gear, it's again looking at closer.
He's just going to be jumping himself right down the Seiji, but unfortunately he doesn't quite have the damage potential to even do anything. But fortunately for him, he did manage to buy some time onto what Bleed is doing. That allowed Dairy as well as Godzilla to focus onto the other main purpose, which is going to be the Vixana. Getting him down is definitely going to be crucial, especially since the Lord has just spawned.
Right now, Yon focusing the bottom lane, RSG, Bray, and also Dairy just showing presence right here. They're just playing the turrets game. They're just training turrets right now. But RSG, that mid lane crack, and Yon goes for the assassination.
But he's just going to be getting himself away.
Man.
Whoa.
So close.
Fluid coming out from Yon right there. Dodging every single ultimate from the side of RSG. Just making it so easy for him to play this one.
It is really tough. I was going to say easy. I mean, Yon, that was immaculate from the side of Yon, right? Being able to dodge everything and survive with a dot of his HP, knowing when to pull back instead of trying to greed for the kill. I think it shows, rather splits the difference between good Fanny players and bad ones.
Right now, bit of stalemate going in for the side of both these two teams. Bleed, well, not too far away in terms of the gold lead, right? But in terms of map pressure, mid lane of RSG is already cracked. In fact, RSG has already had all their first tier turrets already gone. There's a lot of space for Bleed to work with, and that's because, you know, Yon's just going around with 8 kills, and Yon looking for it again.
Godzilla. Oh, the amount of damage that's just going to be dishing out on the Godzilla, leaving him with only a sliver of health, but luckily not quite enough to really bring it down for now. Yon as well as gonna have to get himself a quick little recall, but now what happens to the river priority? Who is gonna be able to claim control of the bottom lane? It kind of seems as though it is going to be Bleed, is doing extremely well, but in the meantime, Yon was hoping that he'll be able to run away, but that Lycan Pounce essentially tracked the Fanny all the way to the end of the cable.
Here's the rise of RSG already. That's already bad news. You lose Yon. That's a shutdown goal given over to RSG. Look at that. The gold lead swinging in the favor of RSG already. And not only just that, the Lord priority given the oversight of RSG already.
Yeah, it seems like the Fanny was a little bit too out of control, but I was also going to mention that we did mention that Closer is one of the checks to the Fanny, and we start to see him outputting a lot of damage as the fight breaks out right now.
Taking a little bit too long, but the last Insanity finally just popped, allowing CS to actually pick up a kill down the Gear. One of the most important players coming from the side of the Bleed is now taken down. Last, the final slash is just going to be stolen away from the side of... no, not stolen away, actually. It does seem like Godzilla. He did go down shortly after taking that out. But for now, Bray, he did manage to bring the Lord down, and that is all fine and dandy. So this allows RSG a lot more of a breathing space in this mid stages of the game.
And not only just breathing space, they create a space for themselves. Just take a look. Oh, that standing goal on the top side already pushed in. Bleed right here on the defense. They're just defending that. And now with the Lord adding on to the pressure against Bleed, Bleed has squandered away all of the lead.
Yeah, that's incredibly insane, right? So right now, the issue that Bleed has is that, yes, Yon is 8-1-0, but the issue is that Yon is 8-1-0, right? If you eliminate Yon, that's all the gold advantage, which is gone, or dead. It's not participating in their team fight. And this Fanny is very squishy. Can get easily bursted down by Sagitno, who just picked up the Sea Halberd as well.
Yeah, not just that, CS has already secured himself the Grand Dragon Spear, a lot more damage, a lot of bursty damage. Yes, Yon can appear just a little bit, but that's only that small little time frame that CS need to take down Yon, and now Bleed on full defense instead.
What a change of events, what a turn of events.
Gear just gonna be hoping that he'll be able to land something onto Closer, but unfortunately that is only gonna allow Davey to slip between the cracks and land quite a bit of a knock-up onto the rest of the members for the side of Bleed. Yon wanting to be the hero. He's just gonna be jumping himself over the way to the back lines, was hoping that he will be able to do some kind of assassination, but not quite. But the main thing is, they did manage to defend their base.
Yeah, but the time for Yon is already over. Yes, you had 8-1-0, you had the snowball, but now they squander away in the snowball. Look at RSG. It's already 4K gold lead, and Bleed is playing defensive right now, and that's not exactly what you expect coming off from this match.
Yeah, this lineup is supposed to be winning team fights. I mean, look, they have the Turismo, the penalty zone. They also have the Vexano for the Eternal Guard, but yet not enough damage is being outputted right now. As we potentially see a pick on the gear.
Gear bad position, but unfortunately the final slash is only connected onto one. With the last Insanity just going to be focusing down onto
CG.
one, but it doesn't seem like they will be able to get too much out of it, with Sagino taking the full brunt of damage from the last Insanity. And now the cleanup crew coming from the side of Yon was hoping he'll be able to do much, but we have Closer coming in clutch with the entire scenario, with his ultimate just going to be holding on to Yon to ensure that he will be able to save the rest of his teammates. And with that all said and done, RSG will be swooping in and trying to get a kill down on Seiji. The Lycan bounces in between, was hoping he will be able to get gear, but Bray is the one that blasted him into oblivion instead. With 3 of the other members from the side of RSG wanting to break down onto the inhibitor turret, Bray essentially loses his immortality while Closer slowly backs away.
This is not supposed to be how Bleed wants to play this game at all. RSG was allowed to scale all the way to the late game right here. In fact, they have more items. By the way, Bleed is a late game kind of roster. Yes, Yon was the one that ushered the late game over to Bleed, but Bleed feel like their growth is not there, Kwa.
No, it's not. They're being completely stomped by the side of RSG SG right now. 4.2k gold lead at this point, and honestly, RSG looking extremely strong. And guess what, guys? Minotaur once again being a main problem for the side of Bleed. Bleed is not able to close the gap.
Yeah.
Zone control from Minotaur is absolutely insane.
And not only just the zone control coming off of Minotaur, but Bray also, those flamethrowers, right? You let him burn just a little bit more, that's true damage, and that's also slow. And that's why Bray really loves this X-Borg. And now, right now, we're just looking at the Lord. Half HP already. Yon looking for time for him to come in with the cable retribution. Maybe it is now.
Lord, with 15,000 health to work with, RSG is just going to be parading around the Lord, waiting for the finest opportunity, but Sagino only lands on the one with the penalty zone. Well, David knocks up on the 2. Sagino holding on to the back lines to ensure that Jay's just gonna be a-okay, but a lot of people just gonna be in the front line still. Bray finds himself taken down by the side of Gear. Gear's HP also going down, but he does have immortality. And while we do have the Lycan, it's just gonna be bouncing in, clawing in, but doesn't really manage to find the kill down on the Gear. The rest of the members from the side of Bleed was content with the win.
Yeah, 3 for 1 Lord for now, but don't forget, Moskov can defend this. Don't forget, Bleed caught RSG in a very nice position. That's just one line that RSG needs to walk over to Bleed, and that's where Seiji truly shines.
I mean, honestly, the positioning from Yon in that fight was immaculate, right? Like, he was recalling, actually, and then he saw the opportunity to strike back and clean up. He got Godzilla, he got, I think, Bray or Davey as well. So honestly, very, very well played by the side of Yon. We've seen signs of life from both teams. This game is closer than we thought.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I want to watch this original El Clasico. RSG going up against Bleed, right? And now it's just, yes, we're just waiting for the Lord to come up. Or has it already been cleaned up already, Abstract?
I'm pretty sure it's been cleaned up.
Yeah.
11 seconds, way past that already. That means that they actually cleaned it up pretty darn fast. If that didn't happen, then we'll be seeing that again in 41 seconds.
Yeah, and it goes to show, right, how RSG just kind of wasted that massive position they were able to secure for themselves, right? Because they greeded for the kill, they greeded for Seiji, and Seiji just output the damage all across. And take a look on another turret goes down in the favor of Bleed. That's the bottom lane that's cleaned up. As long as Bleed holds on to these 3 turrets, these 3 last bastions, what aside to Bleed, RSG is going to have a tough time cracking in.
I think this game could go either ways right now, honestly, right? The question is whether or not RSG or Bleed is going to be being able to pick off key targets like CS or Seiji, right? If either gold laners goes down, I reckon the advantage goes to that other team.
I believe that one of the other key from the side of Bleed is ultimately Seiji's positioning. They kind of have a lot of their eggs in this one basket to ensure that Seiji will be able to do a lot of bruising onto the side of RSG. But speaking of which, Bray has already lost his Viraga armor. He did manage to get himself away. He still has immortality though, but it doesn't seem like Seiji wants to teleport backwards because there's way too many people just right at the shadow. RSG getting themselves the kill onto Yon is definitely a big win, and that is going to sync up with the Lord that will be coming up in 30 seconds while Yon in 28 seconds. We're talking about Fanny after all.
Yeah.
But this Fanny would not have a purple buff, so that is going to be a very big difference.
Pick up right here, Bray losing the Firaga armor and also the immortality. Lost the sanity to just bugger out. RSG, that that massive brave big boss just walks into the bush in 5 members of Bleed, yet Bleed was unable to punish Bray. In fact, Yon is the one get punished instead.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, I honestly expected Bray to explode and just die, right? But what a turn of events the tables have turned indeed. And we see both teams eyeing the Lord at this point, hopefully doing a Lord dance right now.
Yep. Going into 51k total net worth for the side RSG. Most of the items should be clearly built up. Bleed still not too far away, but that difference right now could mean building towards an immortality, right? The lack of a bit more. Yo, there you go. Yon has an immortality already. And now Bleed just need to make the play, and topside just doing a lot of damage. Moscov's just sent all the way up top. Closer.
Oh no!
Sage is gonna commit to it. That's an EXP already committed.
But there could be a chance for Godzilla to actually make ends meet, as he did manage to go on for a full combo as well as a penalty zone. But he didn't expect Gear to come in to eventually help Seiji out. As such, RSG have already lost 2, while Bleed haven't lost a single one. The Lord is now currently available for the picking, but RSG understands that this is not the stand for them to hold on to.
Yeah, Seiji, that spear literally delivered a little bit more breeding chance, of a bit more fighting chance against RSG when it looks so bleak for Bleed. And now look at the space that he created. Now Bleed is on the Lord.
A little bit of space, dude. This is a massive space. The tables once again has turned, and the Lord goes to the side of Bleed. 16 to 13 kills, and now Bleed is back in the driver's seat with a 500 gold lead. Yes, gold lead at this late of the game does not make too much of a difference, but wow, is the game's close.
Yeah, they're finding an equal fighting right here. Just take a look at the items. Most of them are almost well done, except for the mages, right? Yeah, mages items are really expensive because Holy Crystal, the inflation just hits them very hard. But you get the point, right? Now Bleed and RSG is fighting on equal footing, and now it's all about the space. Yes, RSG does have a lot of these turrets, but they're not going to be here for long because the Lord's marching down bot.
As it slowly marches in, the top lane is going to be slightly pushed out as well. RSG will want to put their foot down to ensure that the top jungle is still theirs for the picking. Bleed gonna have to find alternative positioning and just put their footing in a little bit of a different way. RSG is definitely not gonna go down without a fight. As you can see, RSG, they're still holding on.
Looking at Yon. Yon is trying to find a good angle to go in, and the Fanny is just able to move around the map so close. Now we are seeing Bleed knocking on the doors of RSG with
5
a
seconds
Lord.
flicker for Gear.
It's so incredibly close.
Yep, Yon has a
flickers
bit
off.
shove top side, and now it's going to be Gear just zoning, using the final slash, just making sure that mid lane turret is already cracked. And now the top side turret is going to be under threat. RSG has to deal with the Lord down bot. Yon looking for the assassination.
It doesn't seem like he will be able to do enough damage to bring Closer down though. But it's okay because both of these players, Closer as well as Yon, they can head back home and just recall pretty easily to get themselves back on track. But the main thing is Bleed did manage to successfully bring down the inhibitor turret in the middle lane, which is a pretty big deal.
It's a huge deal. I mean, right now, both top and bot towers on the side of RSG is incredibly low. That minion wave is going to crack the tower, I believe, especially with Yon there. And Yon is just going to be able to escape.
Yep, very good disengage tactics coming in from Bleed. Just constantly just trying to buy a little bit more time with the final slash as well as the Eternal Guard. But enough time for the top lane creeps to just eventually move in and allow Fanny to kind of sweep in for the final hit on the turret too.
I like CS's build right here. Haskell's already secured by CS, means that he's going to stay in the fight a little bit longer. Don't forget, Yon can always just assassinate, but if CS can out-sustain the damage of Yon, it will be over, right? So Bleed right now has to be a little bit more careful picking all these fights. And you can see how Yon actually started to switch his priority already. Instead of finding the assassinations, I'm finding to push the side lanes to create space for the sides. And now RSG is only just left with one turret on the bottom lane.
It's not only the split pushing, right? He's also entering the fight at opportune timings, like assassins should be, right? Assassins aren't meant to engage fights, they're meant to clean up. And that's exactly what Yon is doing. He's identified his role. He's seen that, hey, look, they've built a little bit more tanky so I can't burst them down, but I can clean up.
And don't forget, this is a very unfortunate positioning of the Lord spawn for the side of RSG. Don't forget, top side of RSG is clear up, means Super Minion's going to march up top instead. And because of that, it's always constantly shoved. RSG needs to send somebody all the way up top, constantly.
There will always be a numbers disadvantage for the side of RSG, but Yon, you gotta have to focus on the main issue here. It's not about killing anyone anymore. You gotta have to focus on the Lord, make RSG play their macro game and shove out the waves in the middle or the top lane while constantly applying pressure onto the Lord. But perhaps they still have Seiji there, so this is gonna be pretty fine and dandy.
Yeah, feels like Bleed is actually going to commit to this. They're actually going to start bursting it down because they saw CS all the way up top. Instead, RSG, Bray doesn't really have the Firaga armor right here. Just nice zoning out. Bleed secures the Lord.
Yep, created enough space. Bray now lost immortality. Now lost the second Firaga armor. But a quick little with the Trunken, hoping that he'll be able to stay alive. But unfortunately, not really quite so. As Jay brings him down almost immediately. Seiji with a quick little blink forward, hoping that he'll be able to get a kill on Dairy, but it couldn't really quite connect. Seiji with just a sliver of health. He gotta have to heal back a little bit more from the purple buff before going back into the game. Does he actually manage to land anything? But no, CS, he found the opportunity. He managed to get a kill down on Seiji, granting him a killing spree. Jay is taken down as well. We're granting him a double, very potentially on the triple.
No.
But Yard, he goes in, assassinates on the Godzilla. But the triple kill granted over to CS and followed through with a maniac. Bleed. They were way too thirsty.
Yeah, but then again, CS did Heart's Claws just going in, just help him sustain all this while. And that's the difference between Seiji and CS. Seiji thought he could just, you know, regen out of the auto attack damage with the Inspire, but it did not pop because the amount of CCs is just so much from the side of RSG.
Look at the replay right now. We see the fight being actually initiated. We see the Lord being secured on the side of Bleed, but we do see a fight being broken out because Bray is so low. But he buys enough time as we see a huge Minoan Fury coming out from the side of Dairy. CS sees the opportunity, doing tons of damage at this point.
Oh no. Yeah, not only just that. In fact, during the replay, it's gonna be clean up. RSG, there's a clear red carpet in the middle, but no one to basically usher the VIP, to usher the win.
Look at Seiji, look at Seiji.
The Spear of Destruction lands onto Bray. He hopes that he will be able to go for a little bit of backdoor play, trying to get the final hit down on Bray, but Godzilla comes to join in the fray. Even when he comes down to Godzilla, he was steal the spear. But CS and Dairy, they joined in, and even with closer, Seiji, all alone, he still managed to bring one down before falling down on his face.
And the best part is you bring the marksman along with you. No pushing power from the side of RSG. Bleed, Seiji, what a play!
It looked a little bit desperate, not gonna lie, but that was incredible. Seiji being the one to make these plays closer, looking really low.
Man, what is this fight? It's just a scrappy fight from both these two teams. Bleed the Darna's trying to end it right there and then, but RSG punishes Seiji's greed.
But both teams at this point in time, it seems like they have thrown all caution into the wind.
But back to step one.
Back to step one. They have their goal right in their eyes. For Bleed, they have got all the inhibitor turrets down. They know that they want to end this. They went in absolutely thirsty, hungry for more.
Yep.
But it only fell completely backwards.
Bloodthirsty indeed. Yawn also doing the same. Closer, get chunked down half HP. The members of RSG already reinforcing. Jay has to bugger out of there. That's going to be a flicker.
Double flicker.
Ooh, Minoan Fury
1-for-1.
wasted as well.
It's going to be a 1-for-1 that has been taken away. The Lord is currently still available at the northeastern side of the map. None of these teams seems to have gotten much of a priority over that, but Blade is slowly making their way over to the Lord, while RSG not really showing themselves too much of the map, especially for CS.
Yeah, the longer that Bleed delays this is going to be beneficial for them because they have 3 open waves pushing up against RSG, but no, instead, they're just going to force an issue. Looking at the Lord right here.
Yeah, the Lord is going to be started on the side of Bleed. RSG is in somewhat of a position. Closer is not even close, actually.
Yawn
wow,
went
Yawn
down over to
CS.
find Roger, and Yawn manages to clinch it onto CS. And now Yawn himself is missing because Bray went in with the last insanity to take him right off. That means we have one marksman from the side of RNG taken down and one of the junglers from the side of Bleed. This is just going to erupt into an entire explosive gameplay coming from both sides, allowing Closer to eventually get the kill down on the Moskov. 2 main players from the side of Bleed has now been taken down, allowing RNG to go for a decent fight back.
Man, Bleed and RSG, that felt personal right there, right? Like, Seiji just committed to it. Once Yawn just commits onto CS, Ray goes in to respawn. But instead of going for the Lord, they had to go back to defend the base because the minions are pushed up against RSG.
honestly, the players are looking more and more desperate, right? It feels like they really want to close the game. But guys, Lord is right there. Whoever secures the Lord is almost guaranteed to close the game at this point. Death timers are close to 1 minute at right now, and CS is gonna have that spawn advantage over Bleed, over Seiji and Yon.
Yep.
RSG needs to make a move.
Penalty zone connected down on the Bray. They did manage to bring Bray's HP all lower than 50% HP. And it's not going to be an easy long take for anyone at all.
Yep.
Yes, maybe we don't have the jungler for the side of Bleed, but RSG understands the kind of care and concern that they gotta have to put into the game because they still gotta have to respect the amount of damage that Jay puts out. Derry jumps in, he wants to just capitalize this kill down on the gear. He still have immortality though, but a quick little explosive hit coming from CS did manage to pop the immortality, but Yon goes in for a quick drive-by, only for Closer to come from the top lane. Where are you coming from, Closer? How are you catching onto Yon? Allowing them, Godzilla, to bring the Yon down. No more Fanny, no more Bray as well. Oh wait, never mind, he does have immortality, so he's gonna be A-okay. There could be a chance that Seiji might be able to pull off a big play as long as he has his spear. But never mind, as now we do have Godzilla just going to be right in front of the main battles. A lot of RNG players are all down to his liver. The moment that Bleed finds that single spear, it could very potentially end a lot of these players' lives.
RSG knows it. They cannot go ahead and burst the Lord down because don't forget, there's minions pushed up against RSG. You can see how Seiji committed that mid lane push to make sure RSG is kept in check. You cannot kill Bray because of Firaga armor, because of the immortality. It makes it so hard for Bleed to go through.
This is a 29-minute game, guys. It is absolutely bonkers. You mentioned already that this is one of the longest beefs, one of the longest matchups in MPL SG. Oh man.
Tons of poke going through from the side of RLG, but they have managed to find that opportunity. They have managed to get themselves the kill on the gear. The main setup coming from the side of Bleed. No more gear for the next 1 minute. This would allow RLG to have a very smooth raid onto the Lord.
Yeah, but do they engage the Lord right now? Yes, RSG does have 5 members. Bleed doesn't really have the playmaker right here unless Yon comes in, swoops the Lord away. But RSG, you can see how Derry, Godzilla, and also CS is just making sure that they secure this Lord for themselves.
But there's one thing that they have no information on, and that is going to be Fanny. Fanny has just moved his way up to the top lane. He wants the blood of Closer. Immortality pop. Winter Trunkian bot just going to be used. Will he have enough money to follow Gomi?
No energy!
Yo!
Massive blood
He whiffed! He whiffed and wasn't able to get a kill down on Closer! When as such, Gear is still on a 20 seconds timer and Yon is on a 17% timer as well! This gives the opportunity for RSG to once again take the Lord.
RSG wrestles control all the way back, but don't forget, they have to deal with these minions, but don't forget, the minions from the side of RSG are here, along with the Lord. They have a lot more pushing power, and Bleed have to lick the wounds for the next 40 seconds.
Yon is, the death timers are absolutely insane right now. It was more than a minute if you die. So the teams are playing extremely, extremely careful. They have to play extremely careful. We see the RSG is pushing on all 3 lanes. I don't know, man. If it's me, I was just grouped up in mid and just shoved it down, ran it down mid.
Yeah, that's exactly what RSG might be doing right here. But don't forget, Seiji does have a lot of pushing power right here. Godzilla opening damage.
I don't think that they have answers for CS anymore, as Derry is just going to be launching 4% up in the air, 3% up into the air. Derry's HP not looking great now, but for some reason the Bray did manage to get a kill down to Seiji as well. Just going to be left with 3 members from the side of Bleed. RSG is just going to be stomping things down. Close to just going to hang on to kill right after he comes back in. And Sagitnu completely untouched, unable to touch anyone at all as well.
The revenge has been served cold for the side of RSG against Bleed. They are not happy for that results in the regular season, and they pay it back double time.
What a game!